Hello, Math Elite. You're welcome to today's tutorial. In this video lesson, I'll be taking you on a journey on how to change subject formula. The examples will be from the easy ones to the challenging ones in your high school textbook. So don't worry, just relax because I'm going to walk you through all of the examples one step at a time. So let us go into the video and see what it means to change a subject formula. All right. For instance, if I have y is equal to 1 over 2 x squared plus y plus p squared, plus p squared. Now you can see that y is equal to all of this quantity in the right-hand side. Everybody here is left-hand side and everybody here is right-hand side. So you see y is equal to all of this quantity in the right-hand side. And so we can say that y is the subject of this formula. Or somehow it could be like this, 1 over 2 into x squared plus p squared equal to y. However it may come, you can see that y here is still the subject of all these combinations of different variables. And if you look at this other case, you can see that y also is the subject of this different combination. So in this case, we can conclude that y is the subject of this formula, or we can say y is the subject of this equation. Yes. So if you want to change this subject, maybe from y to x or to p, so it takes, you're going to do some mathematical manipulation like addition, subtraction, multiplication, or even division, so as to make x the subject. So in this video, I'm going to show you how to do different mathematical manipulations in changing different subject formula. So let us go into our first example for today. Very easy one. Example 1 or question 1. It says A plus B is equal to C. And it says make A the subject. Make A the subject. So how do we make A the subject in this equation here? Right now, you can see that C is the subject, right? And we want to make A the subject. Now, in other words, we want to take this positive B to the other side so that A can be by itself. So that's exactly what I'm going to do. If I subtract B from both sides, or rather if I take B to this other side, so I have A is equal to C minus B. B is positive here, so when it goes over, it becomes negative. And if you look at this equation, you can see that A is now the subject of the equation or the subject of the formula. Let us do question number 2. Question number 2 is AX plus B is equal to D. And here we want to make A the subject of the formula. How do we do it? Now we want to make A the subject. So then we take this positive B to this side. So we have AX is equal to D minus B. Because when it comes over here, it becomes minus B, right? Good. And now you see we have AX. A times X. How do we remove this X from here? We divide both sides by X. So I'll divide here by X. I'll divide here by X. This guy will cancel out this guy. So A is equal to D minus B over X. Very simple. Now A is the subject of this formula or equation. Let us go to example 3 or question number 3. We have A over X plus B is equal to C, and we want to make A the subject of this formula. Again, how do we do that? Now, the first thing you want to do is to take B to this side so that you have only A in the right-hand side. So you have A over X is equal to C minus B. And now, how do we remove this X from here? Now, there are a lot of ways you can do it. I would like to do it in 2 different ways so that you have 2 different ideas on doing this same particular problem. It's going to help us. So let's take the first method. Now, the first method is because I have X in the denominator, I can decide to multiply everybody here by X, and I multiply everybody here by X. Okay, whatever you do in the left-hand side, you want to do it in the right-hand side so that it balances up. Now, how do we go about it now? You see this X now can cancel out this X, and A is now free, and that is what we want. So A is now equal to C minus B times X. You can go ahead to expand if you want to. You can say A is equal to X times C, and X times B will give us CX minus BX. Still the same thing. And the other way you can do it here is this is actually over 1. You can cross and multiply. So you have a times 1 is a, and x will multiply all this quantity. So you have x multiplying c minus b, and that will still give us xc minus xb. Remember, xc and xb is the same as cs and bs. It is commutative, so it doesn't matter which of them comes first. But naturally in maths, the alphabet that is close to A comes first in order. That is how we do it. So it should properly be written as A is equal to CX minus BX. So they are all the same. So let's go to question number 4. Now, question number 4, we have A over, we have A over Y plus A over Z is equal to 1. And still we want to make A the subject of this formula. How do we do that? And you can see in this equation, we have 2 A's. And remember, if you want to make A the subject of the formula, you need to make all those 2 A's to become 1 A. I'm going to show you how to do that in this lesson. You see, we are progressing from easy to medium to hard and to difficult. That's how it's going to be. So I'll show you how to go through all these examples. So just relax with me. Now, the first thing you want to do here, you want to make sure that all of this variable, all these A's are become 1A, because you cannot have 2 A's in an equation. Okay, so I need to convert these 2A to become 1A. Now, the first thing I want to do here, there are a lot of ways to solve this problem. I would like to do the LCM of these guys. So the LCM of Y and Z will be YZ. And if YZ divides Y, you'll get only Z. And Z will multiply A, you have AZ, right? Then plus, if YZ divides Z, you have only Y, and Y will multiply A, so you have what? AY equal to 1 over 1. 1 over 1 is the same as what? Is 1. So you want to cross and multiply. So you have all these guys multiply 1. You still have AZ plus AY is equal to YZ. When YZ multiplies 1, you still get YZ. Now, if you look at these two guys where we have AA, we need to make it to be 1A. You see, A is common here, A is common here. How do we do that? We factorize. So you see, A is common here. I'm going to factor out A. And when I factor out A, if A divides this quantity here, you'll be left with Z. And if A divides quantity here, you'll be left with what? Y. As if to say, A times Z will give me AZ, and A times Y will give me AY. So that will be equal to this YZ in our right-hand side. Now, you see, A is now just 1, right? And how do you take away Z plus Y from here? You divide both sides by Z or Z plus Y, and you divide here also by Z plus Y. And that will give us A is equal to YZ over Z plus Y. That's the answer to this question. Let us go to the next one. Question number 5. Question number 5. It says x into A plus B is equal to T. X into A plus B is equal to T. How do we make A the subject of this formula here? Now, it seems everything we are doing here, we are making A the subject. That's the instruction. So you can actually make X, you can actually make B the subject. It doesn't matter. It's still the same ideas or principle I'm just showing you right here. So let's make A the subject. Now, you see A is inside this bracket or this parenthesis. The first thing you want to do, you remove the parenthesis by using X to distribute into all these quantities. So X times A is XA or AX, anyone. Then plus X times B is XB equal to T. Now you see, I have to take this guy to here. So I have XA is equal to T minus XB. And now I want to make A the subject, so I have to divide everybody by X, divide here by X, so that this X will cancel out. And A will be the subject of this equation or this formula. So that is the answer to this question 5. Let's go to the next question. Question 6. Wow, we are progressing, right? So let's say we have 2 root A is equal to B. How do we make A the subject? Now you can see we have different kind of settings, right? Here we have A inside a root. Yes, I'm going to show you how to dissolve that root to get A out of it, right? All right, so the first thing you want to do here is to divide. We want to make A the subject. Please take note. So it's to divide everybody by 2. The reason for doing that is that these 2, we cancel out these 2. Then you have root A is equal to B over 2, right? And now you want to get rid of this square root. Now, for instance, if you have square root of x, or rather, I mean to say x itself can be written as square root of x all squared, because this square will always cancel out this root. So what I mean in essence is that to get rid of this square root, we square both sides. And if you have a square, to get rid of a square, we take the square root of both sides. They are inverse of one another. So I'm going to square both sides like this. I also square here like this. Square both sides. Now, in this case, this square will cancel out this root. That's the idea of squaring both sides. So this square can cancel out the root. And if the square cancels out the root, we have A is equal to B over 2 all squared. This could be your final answer, or you can go ahead to say A is equal to, this guy is written as B squared over 2 squared, right? When you distribute the squared for all of them. If you've not watched our videos of indices, go and watch our videos of indices. This part is indices. So now you have B squared here over 2 squared is 4. And so that is the subject formula for A. All right, let us move into the next question, question 7. So we have question 7 right here, and it says square root of A plus Y is equal to Z. We want to make A the subject of this equation or this formula. How do we do it? Now, the first thing I want to do, since this A and Y are inside the square root, I have to break out the square root because I want A to be free. So I'll take the square of both sides. Let me do it here. I have A plus Y equal to Z. I'll square both sides like this so that this square can cancel out this root. So you have A plus Y is equal to Z squared. And now take Y to this side. So you have A is equal to Z squared minus Y. A is now the subject of this equation. Now, the next thing we want to do is another example. Let's call this one example 8. All right, so example 8, it says square root of x squared plus a squared is equal to 3a. We want to make A the subject of this formula. We want to make A the subject of this formula, right? Now, how do we make A the subject of the formula? The first thing you want to do, you see we have 2 A's here, right? Now, the first thing you like to do is to square both sides. Square both sides. Then how do we square both sides? So that we get rid of this square root. So I have square root of x squared plus a squared is equal to 3a. I'll square here, and of course, I will square here, right? This square will cancel out this root. So we have x squared plus a squared equal to, now 3a squared is like 3a times 3a, right? And that will give me 3 times 3 is 9, 8 times 8 is a squared. That will give me 9a squared. Actually, this is indices, and we have treated indices in our playlist, in our grade 10 SS1 work in our playlist. Go and watch our videos on indices. It will explain all of this for you. All right, so now we go further. We want to make A. So I take this guy, or maybe somehow I want to take A to this side, A squared. So I have x squared is equal to 9a squared. Sorry, my 9 is almost looking like A. So let me write it very well. 9a squared minus a squared. I'm taking this guy to this side, right? So what is 9a squared minus a squared? This a squared just like 1a squared. So 9 of something minus 1 of something will give us 8 of those things, right? So I have it to be 8a squared, right? Let's take it to this side. So I have x squared is equal to 8a squared. I can also write these guys as 8a squared is equal to s squared. It's the same thing, right? And now I'll divide both sides by 8 because I want to make A the subject. So this guy cancels out. So I have a squared is equal to x squared over 8. And now to get rid of this square, you take the square root of both sides. You take the square root of both sides. Whenever you take the square root, you always put a plus or minus sign before the root in the other side of the equation. So this square cancels out this root. So you have A is equal to plus or minus the square root of x squared over 8. Yes. So you can leave your answer like this, or you can go further to simplify. This is still the same as square root of x squared over square root of 8. Now the square, we cancel out this guy. So you now have finally a is equal to plus or minus x over square root of 8. So this is the making a the subject of the formula. You can actually break 8 down to 2 root 2, but that will not be a case right now. So let us go to the next example. Example 9, right? Is that example 9? Yes, let me look for it here. Okay, so let's go to the next example. This is example 9. Example 9 is saying that we have ay is equal to a into b plus x. And here we want to make x the subject. How do we do that? We need to distribute, and the x is inside this parenthesis. So we need to break out the parenthesis by distributing with a. So we have ay is equal to ab plus ax, right? Remember, I want to make x the subject, not a, x the subject. So I'll take this guy to this side. So I have ay minus ab is equal to ax. I want to make x the subject, so I'll divide everybody by a. This a cancels out. So I have ay minus ab over a is equal to x. Now, x is the subject here, but I can still go further to simplify these guys so that it looks better. Like, yeah, so remember, I have ay minus ab over a is equal to x. Now, you see, you see a is common here in this numerator, so I can factor out a. And when I factor out a, if a divides this quantity, you'll be left with y. If a divides this quantity, you'll be left with b. As if to say, a times y will give me ay, a times b will give me ab. This process is called factorization, right? Now, when you factorize, you can see that this a here can cancel out this a here. Now, you can now say y minus b is equal to x. Now, you can see x is the subject of this formula, or the subject of this equation, right? Now, let us go ahead. Now, the next question is this. It says x over a plus b is equal to c. How do we make x the subject? We want to still make x the subject here. So what do we do? Take this guy to this side. So you have x over a is equal to c minus b. And I want to make x, so I can multiply everybody by a here, So these guys cancel out. So x is equal to a into c minus b. You can leave your answer like this. In this case, x is still the subject of the formula. All right, I'm looking for really interesting case here. This is question 10. I think I've lost count of the question. This is question 11. Let's do this one. It says x squared minus y squared is equal to a to the 4 minus c to the 2. And we want to make x the subject. How do we do this? First thing, I'll take this guy to this side. So we have x squared is equal to a4 minus c to the 2 plus y to the 2. Now, square root both sides, plus or minus square root both sides. The square cancels out. So x is now equal to plus or minus square root of a4 minus c squared plus y squared. X is the subject of this equation right now. Very easy, right? Now, let us go to example 12. Example 12, we want to make x the subject of the formula here. Well, this one, I have a lot of them here, so I'm trying to look for the ones that could be challenging for you so that we'll solve that together. So I have x squared plus by squared is equal to 1. Make x the subject. Simple. So you have x squared is equal to 1 minus by squared. Of course, if you've been watching from the very beginning, you should know why I'm doing all of this to make x free. Now you square root both sides so that to get rid of this square here, equal to 1 minus by squared, you square root both sides. So this square cancels out. So x is equal to plus or minus 1 minus by squared. These are very simple and interesting problems. Now let us see question 12. All right, question 12, it says x over x minus 1 plus t over r plus 1 equal to 1. We want to make x the subject, all right? And you see, we only have this x here, so I can take this guy to this side. So I have x over x minus 1 is equal to 1 minus t over r plus 1. And now I can go ahead and say, in fact, the idea is just making x this subject. So I can decide to multiply everybody by x minus 1. What I mean is that all these guys are in bracket like this. So if I multiply here by x minus 1, and I multiply here by x minus 1, so that these guys, we cancel out these guys. So x is equal to 1 minus t over r plus 1 into x minus 1. Yes, so that is pretty much how it will look like. I can go ahead and simplify this one, using this one to distribute here. It doesn't really matter, but the idea is x is now the subject of this formula. All right, so you can go ahead to simplify if you want to. So let us go to the next example. That's question 13. All right, question 13, it says here we have arrow. Let me put it down. Question 13, it says arrow is equal to the square root of x squared plus y squared. We want to make x the subject. We want to make x the subject. How do we do that? You see, x is inside this root, right? So I have to square both sides. Now, if, for instance, if it was a cube root, maybe we have x squared plus y squared equal to r. And you see, x is inside this cube root. What do I do to get rid of this cube root? I'll take the cube of both sides. Do you understand now? The cube of both sides, because this cube, we cancel out this cube root. But if it's just square like this, I'll take the square of both sides. Now, so let's go. So I'll take the square of this side and take the square of this side. The square of this side. The square, we cancel out these guys. So you have r squared is equal to x squared plus y squared. Now take this guy to this side. So you have r squared minus y squared is equal to x squared. Now take the square root of both sides so that you have plus or minus square root of r squared minus y squared is equal to x, because this guy, we cancel out the root. So this is pretty much how to make x the subject in this question. Let's go to the next question. Question 14. Are you enjoying this video? If you're enjoying this video, put it down in the comment section, all right? So let's do something now. Now, the question 14 is this. It says x is equal to n over 2 into 2a plus n minus 1 d. This formula is a very popular formula. This formula you see on your sequences and series. This is the sum of an arithmetic sequence, right? So it's a very popular formula, sum of arithmetic sequence. And here we want to make a the subject of the formula. We want to make a the subject of the formula in this question. How do we do that? You see the a right here, this young man, we want to make him the subject. So how do we go about it? First thing, you distribute to break out this chain, this bracket here, distribute with n over 2. So you have x equal to n over 2 multiplying 2a, then plus n over 2 multiplying all these guys here, n minus 1 d, right? You have distributed now. These two can cancel out these two. So you have x is equal to na, right? Because this n multiplies, you have na plus n over 2 into n minus 1 d, right? Then I can take out these guys to this side. So I have x minus n over 2 into n minus 1 d, right? Equal to na, isn't it? Because when you take these guys to this side, it becomes negative, right? So, and I want to get rid of this n. So I can actually multiply everybody by 1 over n. Yeah, so if I multiply everybody by 1 over n, I multiply it by 1 over n. So that this n cancels out these guys. So I have a as a subject right now. So this n multiplies this guy. So you have x over n minus this n, we cancel out these guys here. So you now have 1 over 2 into n minus 1d. Yes, right? So that is pretty much how to look like when you make A the subject of the formula. All right, I still have another question for you. This is question 15. This will be a classwork for you. So you go give it a try and put your answer in the comment section. Question 15, it says T is equal to 3P over R plus what? Plus X. So we say make P the subject. So make P the subject in this question and give me your answer in the comment section, all right? I'll be waiting for that. So question 16. How do we solve question 16? Yeah, it says we have here to be, H is equal to, sorry, I'm trying to see it clearly, F squared over 2G into R squared minus R squared. I want to make R the subject. This is a live video lesson, so I'm doing everything live. Most of these questions, I've not solved them before, but I definitely know the principles of making subject formula, and that is what I'm teaching you here. So you can solve any kind of problem on change of subject formula. It is very quite interesting and very easy to start with. All right, so let's go. We want to get R to be the subject. So first thing, you break it out from this parentheses. So you have H is equal to, this guy distribute. So you have F squared times R squared over 2G minus, when this guy multiplies guys, you have F squared R squared over 2G, right? This is the R we want to make this, so not this guy, please. So take this guy to this side. This R is different from this one, all right? So they are not the same. So you have H now minus F squared R squared over 2G is equal to minus F squared R squared over 2G. I like to multiply everybody by minus to get rid of this minus guy here. So if I multiply everybody here by minus, my minus 1, this guy here that is positive becomes negative. So here becomes negative H. This one that is positive becomes positive. I mean, negative becomes positive. So F squared R squared over 2G equal to F squared R squared over 2G. That's the idea of multiplying everybody by negative. The negative becomes positive and the positive becomes negative. So now I can go ahead and say, let me bring these guys to this side. So this is same as F squared R squared over 2G is equal to F squared R squared over 2G minus H. These guys and these guys are just the same thing. H is negative here. This quantity is positive, they're still positive. I'm just changing their positions so that this guy comes first and it looks better like this. All right, so now I want to make R squared the subject. See what I'm going to do right here. The coefficient of R squared is F squared over 2G. See what I'm going to do now. I'm going to multiply everybody by 2G over F squared. Yeah, 2G over F squared. Why? Because this 2G will cancel out this one and F squared will cancel out this one. So R squared is equal to F squared R squared, or you can actually call them FR all squared over 2G minus H into 2G over F squared, right? Yes, so that is what it is. Now you can distribute these guys into all of them so that you have R squared is equal to F squared R squared over 2G. When this one multiplies this way, you say times 2G over F squared minus H times 2G over F squared, right? Now this F squared cancels F squared, 2G cancels 2G. So finally, R squared is equal to, only here is surviving, R squared is surviving here, minus, here what is surviving is 2HG over F squared, right? All right, so the next thing, you take the square root of both sides. So you take the square root of these guys, R squared minus 2HG over F squared. So this guy cancels out this guy. So R is equal to all this quantity here. So that is how to make R the subject of the equation. All right. So I believe this class is you're learning some new things, right? So let us go to example 17. Now, example 17 says we have t is equal to nu squared over k minus 5mg. And it says make k the subject. Make k the subject. After this one, we'll take another example, then we'll go to another category. So we want to make k the subject. Take this guy to this side. So you have t plus 5mg is equal to nu squared over k. Then I would like to multiply everybody by, this is nu squared, right? This is over 1. Everybody here is over 1. I have a lot of ways to solve this problem. Like I say, take the inverse of both sides. But I don't want to do that. I want to get rid of this nu squared. So if I multiply everybody by, let's do it here. We have nu squared over k. We have t plus 5mg over 1. Put them all in a bracket like this. So if I multiply everybody by 1 over nu squared, here to 1 over nu squared, nu squared. Why? Because this guy, we cancel out this guy. And so we have 1 over k is equal to t plus 5mg over nu squared. Because this guy multiplies 1, you have this right here. So the next thing you do, you take the inverse of both sides. Inverse of both sides is this guy comes up, this one comes down, this one goes up, this one comes down. That's the inverse of both sides. The inverse of both sides. So here we now have nu squared over t plus 5mg is equal to k over 1, which is the same as k. So k is the subject of the formula right here. So let us go to the next example. Example 18. Okay, this will be our last example for this tutorial. So this will be our last example for this tutorial. It says, I'll write it out. It says, make A the subject of the formula, given that x squared is equal to a squared minus a squared, what is it? Minus a squared w squared, and find the value of a to 2dp. To 2dp means to 2 decimal place when x is equal to 10 and w is equal to half. So this will be our last example for these tutorials. So this will be so the first thing we are giving that solution, we are giving x squared is equal to a squared minus a squared w squared. We want to make a the subject. So you can look at these two guys here. What is common? A squared is common. So factor out a squared. What will be left? We have 1 minus w squared. As if to say, a squared times 1 is a squared. A squared times this will give me this. So then we have x squared here. So divide everybody by 1 minus w squared. 1 minus w squared. So these guys cancel out. So we now have a squared is equal to x squared over 1 minus w squared. So take the square root of both sides. So you have a is equal to plus or minus square root of x squared minus 1 minus w squared. So now a is the subject of the formula. And now we move to the next point. It says, find the value of a to 2 decimal place when x is 10 and w is half. So we are going to plug in those values for to get a. So a will be equal to plus or minus the square root of x is 10. So here becomes 10 squared over 1 minus half squared, right? Half squared. So that will all give us plus or minus square root of 100 over 1 minus 1 over 4, right? And that should give us, you can go further to say a is equal to plus or minus square root of 100 over square root of, here will be 4 minus 1 over 4. When you take the, when you do the LCM for this guy, so here will become 4 minus 1 over 4. And that should give me plus or minus square root of 100 is 10 over, this will give me square root of 3 over 4, right? And we have 10 over square root of 3 over 4. This is like saying 10 divided by square root of 3 over 4. And this is 10 divided by square root of 3 over square root of 4, which is 2, right? And so this is like saying 10 over 1 times square root of 4 over square root of 3. You know, when you change division to multiplication, these guys will go up, this one will come down, right? So square root of 4 is 2. So everybody now becomes A is equal to plus or minus 10 times 2 over square root of 3. 10 times 2 is 20. So you have plus or minus 20 over root 3. So now A is equal to 20 over root 3, or A is equal to minus 20 over root 3. So this is pretty much how A is going to look like. So when you put these guys in your calculator, you leave your answer in 2 decimal places. So that is pretty much the end of today's class, and I believe you've learned something from this video. If you actually learned something from this video, give this video a good like and share this video to other learners. I want to see you in the next class, and have a wonderful day. God bless you, and bye-bye.